The Xbox Series X is one of the most powerful consoles in the world. To own one, you'll need to spend around $500, and in return, you get a machine packed with features and access to a massive library of games. But that got me thinking. Instead of spending $500 on a console, what if I spent $300 and tried to build something even better? So that's exactly what I did. I built my own version of an Xbox Series X. And yes, in terms of raw performance, it's actually faster than the console itself. Now, to make this work within a $300 budget, I can't just buy everything brand new. So this time, I'll be hunting mostly for used components. Of course, buying used hardware always comes with some risk. But if you know where to look, you can save a lot of money. Used parts are everywhere right now, especially on online marketplaces. You can shop almost anywhere, but personally, I recommend checking Facebook Marketplace or eBay. Not only are the prices usually lower, but you can also negotiate directly with the seller. Alright, with that in mind, let's start with the easier components. First up, storage and the case. The Xbox Series X comes with 1 terabyte of storage, which is more than enough for installing multiple modern games. But for my needs, I don't actually require that much space. So this time, I'm going with a 500 gigabyte drive instead. The right capacity always depends on how many games you plan to install. For me, 500 gigabytes is enough, and I paid $43 for this drive. And here's a quick tip. Whenever you're buying a used drive, always check its health status using diagnostic software before making the final decision. Next, let's talk about the case. Since I'm building something inspired by a high-end console, I want it to look good too. So I chose a case with 3 RGB fans. Surprisingly, I managed to grab this one for just $18. Now comes the part I hesitated on the most, RAM. Right now, RAM prices are pretty high. Because of that, I decided to skip flashy RGB kits or RAM with large heat sinks. In reality, performance differences are basically non-existent. The Xbox Series X uses 16 gigabytes of RAM, so to stay competitive, I'm also going with 16 gigabytes in dual channel for maximum performance. I'm using 2 G-Skill sticks, which I bought for $75. And honestly, even today, 16 gigabytes is still more than enough for gaming. Next up, we move to the most important component, the CPU. For this build, I'm going with the Ryzen 5 2600. Even today, it's still a solid choice for a budget gaming PC. This chip features 6 cores and 12 threads, with a boost clock of up to 3.9 GHz. It's based on the Zen Plus architecture, and thanks to its strong multi-threaded performance, it's still very relevant for gaming at this price point. Now, if you're looking for even better performance, you could step up to the Ryzen 5 3600. That's also a fantastic option and highly recommended by many users. However, with component prices going up and my budget being fairly tight for this build, I'm sticking with the Ryzen 5 2600. Right now, you can find it on eBay for around $35, which is a very attractive price. Since the Ryzen 5 2600 is relatively power efficient and runs fairly cool, I'll be using the stock cooler that comes with it. During testing, I'll monitor the temperatures, and if needed, I can always upgrade the cooler later. Because I want this system to remain upgrade friendly in the future, I'm choosing a mid-range board rather than the absolute cheapest option. With the AM4 socket, there are plenty of choices. The one I picked is the Gigabyte B450M. The main reason for choosing this board is its compatibility with first and second generation Ryzen CPUs. On top of that, the price is very reasonable. It's currently selling on eBay for around $68. This motherboard also supports CPU overclocking, although I won't be using that feature in this build. It comes with 4 RAM slots, 2 PCIe slots, and all the essential connectivity options. One major strength of this board is its support for high-speed DDR4 RAM, which helps fully take advantage of the Zen Plus architecture of the Ryzen 5 2600. With the platform ready, let's talk about the part that really determines gaming performance, the GPU. After testing Steam OS emulation on multiple graphics cards, I noticed something interesting. AMD GPUs tend to perform better in this setup. The main reason is driver support. AMD uses open source drivers, which integrate much better with Linux-based systems like Steam OS. That usually means better compatibility and more stable performance. So for this build, I'm going with the RX 580. A card I've used in many previous builds. In terms of performance per dollar, it's still one of the best budget GPUs out there. Yes, there are risks when buying one used, especially since many of them were used for crypto mining. But if you find a good unit, it's still a very strong option for a low-budget gaming PC. Right now, the RX 580 sells for around $65 on eBay. Finally, we just need a power supply. Even though this system doesn't consume that much power, I'm using a 600-watt PSU. Since it's an older unit, I prefer having extra headroom to ensure stable operation and avoid pushing it too hard. And with that, we have all the components ready. I'm going to assemble everything now. I've also prepared a USB drive with the emulator pre-installed. Once I plug it in, the system will automatically boot into the emulator. And just like that, we now have our own version of an Xbox Series X. So the real question is, how does it actually perform? Let's start with Tomb Raider. I'm playing at 1080p, and for now, I'm leaving the FPS uncapped. With the frame rate unlocked, the system feels very smooth and responsive. In lighter scenes with fewer details, frames per second stays above 100 frames per second. However, during heavier combat sequences with more visual effects, it drops down to around 70 to 80 frames per second. Even so, overall performance remains stable and very playable. Now let's compare it directly to the Xbox Series X, this time locking the frame rate at 60 frames per second. With the 60 frames per second cap enabled, stability improves even further. The system holds a consistent 60 frames per second, even in more detailed scenes. Input latency is practically non-existent. In terms of visuals, the Xbox Series X does look slightly better, but honestly, the difference isn't very significant. Next up is The Witcher 3. First, I'm testing it with the FPS uncapped. At 1080p, performance sits around 40 to 50 frames per second. At these settings, the visuals look very good. Now, once I lock it to 60 frames per second, the graphics settings need to be lowered to maintain stability. As a result, visual quality drops slightly. However, the upside is that performance becomes almost perfectly stable. The system consistently holds 60 frames per second, and even during combat, there are no noticeable frame drops. That said, at this setting, the GPU is running at nearly full load the entire time. Now let's move on to a much more demanding title. Cyberpunk 2077. I'm playing at 1080p with the frame rate capped at 60 FPS. At these settings, the system starts to show its limits. FPS fluctuates between 40 and 50 frames per second, and it's clear that the hardware is being pushed much harder here. That said, the gameplay still feels relatively smooth and stable overall. However, compared to the Xbox Series X, this configuration doesn't perform quite as well in Cyberpunk. And finally, let's test GTA 5. Once again, I'm playing at 1080p. With this game, the system handles everything very well. FPS stays locked at 60 frames per second, and there are almost no noticeable frame drops during gameplay. Visually, at these settings, the graphics quality is very close to what you'd get on the Xbox Series X. And in some situations, it's hard to tell the difference. And that wraps up everything about this $300 gaming PC. After all the testing, it's clear that this configuration is very impressive for the price. But it's not perfect. Since we're running an emulation-based setup that's been specifically optimized for gaming, it's not entirely fair to make a direct one-to-one comparison with the Xbox Series X. The console is built and tuned for a very specific hardware environment, while this PC gives us flexibility, but also comes with trade-offs. Still, everything you've seen here reflects my personal experience and opinion. I'd really love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comments. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.